Jujutsu Kaisen is packed with amazing fights. Even if you're an anime only, you got Gojo vs Sukuna, Gojo vs Jogo, Mahito vs Nanami, Yuji and Nanami vs Mahito, Todo and Yuji vs Hanami, Megumi vs Finger Bearer, you get the point. JJK has a lot of cool action moments, and I could really just make this video me gushing at all the sheer hype moments of the fight, and say in a complicated way as to why this fight is cool. But instead, I'm not only going to be gassing up this fight because it is my favorite fight in Jujutsu Kaisen, but discuss why this fight works from a narrative perspective as well. The context for why these two meet is not really complex, and it's pretty straightforward. Yuji in the last arc turned Choso's brother into Salami, Choso being someone who before this fight had a strong connection with his brothers to the point to where as soon as they died, he sensed their life force just gone on some Obi-Wan shit, and because of this, Choso is legit blinded by rage and will stop at nothing to defeat Yuji. We see him arguing with the likes of Jogo over facing Itadori, and during the battle against Gojo, he pretty much does nothing. And unlike Hanami, Jogo, and Mahito, he doesn't feel that curses need to step up or show that they are the next form of evolution. He doesn't even have a grudge against sorcerers. He's legit just a guy who cares about his brothers, and anyone getting in the way of that will never see the light of day. Which does sound familiar to the dude he's fighting. Yuji got dragged into this whole sorcerer thing, and will do his best to keep people safe and protect others before his own life comes to an end. Both establish a purpose that allows them to keep their loved ones safe, and they individually go through the loss of a person they once tried protecting. In Choso's case, it was his brothers, and that loss caused him to snap. And as we see in the same arc that this fight takes place in, Yuji would go through a similar experience, losing both Nobara and Nanami. Unintentionally, Yuji caused absolute hell in Choso's life, and then Choso's boss, technically I guess you can say, would go on to make Yuji's life a living hell. Oh my god, guys, see what I did there? Like, I'm so smart. There isn't a super complex dynamic to these two characters, but the dynamic does exist, and it's an easy way to get us, aka the readers, engaged. Based on their first interaction alone, you can tell this is an obstacle that's going to be difficult for Yuji to overcome, as right off the bat, he gets his arm destroyed by Choso's piercing blood. Yuji as well by this point is an established natural fighter who usually closes the distance with his enemies and uses his lack of finesse with cursed energy to combat Choso, who isn't a natural fighter, but makes up for it thanks to his finesse with curse energy. This gives us a fight between two brothers who fight like opposites, yet both are fighting for similar things on different sides. We understand what they are fighting for and what this means to our protagonist. He needs to overcome Choso even if it kills him, because at the end of the day, Gojo needs to be saved. He knows that Choso is not even the final boss, but he doesn't even care. He needs to take him down at the very least. This allows Yuji, who despite being under a disadvantage, would manage to dictate how much of a shot he's got at evading Choso's piercing blood, makes the connection to Kamo thanks to Mekamaru, and Yuji decides to use his ingenuity instead of raw strength, which at first glance doesn't seem so interesting, but with someone like Yuji it really is. Before the Choso fight, when it came to fighting these special grades, Yuji simply has not been strong enough and has always needed help from his teachers, and if it wasn't for him literally being the vessel for Sukuna, who's immune to all toxins, bro would have lost to Choso's brother. Choso is the first opponent that Yuji goes up against without any help, and so he is pushed past his limits physically and legit stops himself from passing out during the battle. Despite literally being caught off guard, he somehow manages to outwit Choso. Choso would follow after Yuji after he would taunt him about his brothers, and after gambling on Mekamaru's hunch, he would turn on the bathroom sprinklers, removing Choso's ability to use his piercing blood. And with both of them in a closed up space, they're both on Yuji's turf now. Which perfectly transitions into my next reason why this fight works. This fight is so cool! The dynamic between these two is great and all, but I think the main thing to take away, obviously, is the fighting itself. Not only with the surroundings does it allow Yuji and Choso to trade hands, but we see Yuji legit closing the door on bro mid-battle and then catching him by surprise and kicking him into it. Or into him, I should say, because he literally does! Even earlier in the fight when they were at the station, I feel like Choso's black piercing blood contrasted to the background, which was white for the majority. It allowed us to see cool panels like these. We see Itadori strike with max effort in every attack, and it seems Itadori could win. However, due to being injured already and Choso landing too many deadly blows, he'd then suffer another injury. I am not kidding when I tell you Choso legit pushed Itadori past his physical limits. Got a broken arm, a pierced liver, got shot in the face, punched a surface he couldn't break, and legit was gonna pass out mid-battle but just calmed himself down. Which, by the way, this panel just represents exactly how far Itadori has come. We've seen Yuji legit just get frustrated against these special curses and then give up or just rely on someone else to help him. And although he lost the fight, Yuji landed 3 blows on Choso and they did significant damage to bro. Had it been fair, Yuji would have washed him. I'm telling you! And just as it looks like Choso's about to get his revenge, something suddenly strikes Choso's mind. It's almost as if he sensed one of his brothers dying, only now he's sensing this through Itadori. Choso would come to the conclusion that Itadori is his brother, and since this point, Choso has been making it his mission to protect his brother, as Itadori is promising to move forward as well. Not only does this fight give us one of the best dynamics / relationships in Jujutsu Kaisen, but as a fight itself, it's already regarded as the best just from the sheer groundedness and intensity of the situation. Or to put it simply, this shit is so fucking cool, bro.